The stock market has been all over the place lately, and a lot of it has to do with what's going on with Iran. But here's the thing, this is actually when a lot of people like me and yourself make their best investments. But most people completely miss it. So I have one question for you. What side are you going to be on this to go around? Part one, what's happening? Just a simple breakdown. With the Iran conflict comes an oil spike. The world gets a lot of its oil from Iran in that area. So, I mean, it only makes sense, war in the area causes oil to not be distributed correctly, distributed widely, and, prices spike. Kind of obvious there. With the oil spike, inflation fears, people are scared, gas prices go up, energy goes up, electricity, everything really stems off oil. Everything that is needed to make the world go round mostly uses oil. And then, with that, investors react emotionally because they see prices going up, pricing skyrocketing, stocks plummeting. A lot of investors panic sell. They sell all their investments, and then the market looks that much rougher than what it truly is. But, I think that's ultimately what determines, that what separates, the smart, calm, focused investor compared to the one who doesn't have much flexibility or doesn't have much safety in their investments. So, they panic sell because they're afraid that everything's going to plummet, the world's going to end. But, we've seen this time and time again. And, that's how the world goes around. We have bull markets, we have bear markets. We go up and down. It's a steady flow. It's definitely inconsistent, but if you are well prepared for it, if you educate yourself, you should have no problem. You'll know what to do when the time comes. Part two, why the market drops. Kind of piling on to like part one, what is happening in the world. That's ultimately why the market's dropping. With the conflict, with inflation going up, a lot of people are uncertain, and with uncertainty comes fear. They're afraid, hey, the stocks are just going to keep going lower and lower and lower. I'm going to lose all my money, so I better sell it now and recuperate what I can get before I lose it all. People end up selling all their stocks off, and it's just that short-term reaction to a current world event. This conflict has been going on for a few weeks now. Hopefully it ends soon. Hopefully they come to a resolution, however that looks. I'm not super deep into the conflict, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But I think it's an unfortunate circumstance we're in. But I mean, it is what it is. And ultimately, the market hates uncertainty. So when people panic sell, the market reacts. And it's ultimately just a short-term reaction. Usually, when there's a bear market, I think I read, most times after a bear market, the stock market ends up overperforming in the next couple weeks, months, or the next year or so. It ends up kind of recuperating those losses and then some. Kind of look at COVID, for example. Wish I invested back then, but I was scared. I didn't know what I didn't know. I wasn't very knowledgeable in investing or the market or how it all worked. So, I obviously saw the prices plummet, was scared and was like, no, I'm just going to I'm going to keep my money in the bank, or I'm going to keep my money in a high yield savings account. I'm not going to touch the market. I'm going to lose all my money. But what we saw there, people made their money back and then that much more during COVID. So, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. If I can go back, I would, and, invest a lot of money, but can't really do that yet unless we get a time machine going. Part three, where the opportunity is, especially for myself, my friends, and guys my age, even guys a little older than me, and especially the young guys. This is probably one of your first or your few opportunities like this where you can, make a lot of money, or at least make money on your current investments if you stay strong and don't sell them, don't panic sell them. When prices go down, especially when everybody panic sells all their investments, their stocks, what have you, prices go down, it's It is a great buying opportunity for people who have a little extra cash on the side who want to buy when things are lower. Think of, I've done this reference before, think of Call of Duty Zombies, all the boys who played zombies, when that fire sale hit, didn't matter what round you were on, what the situation of the round was, you were getting to that mystery box and trying to get that ray gun, trying to get that thunder gun or whatever special weapon it was on that zombies map. But no, it ultimately is. It's a fire sale. You're getting things, you're getting stocks for a cheaper price at that moment because everybody's panic selling. The stock goes down. The stocks are going to rebound. Like I said, before, earlier in the video, most times after a bear market, when the bull market hits, when prices start to go up, you make your money back and that much more just over the decades, of the market being around. This is ultimately where, the long-term investors benefit. You don't see the big guys with millions or hundreds of millions in the market, panic selling during this time. They're doing the same thing us normal average guys should be taking advantage of. The people who are panic selling, who don't have that flexibility or stash of money on the side for emergencies, like an emergency fund, and they end up panic selling all their stocks, to get some money in their pocket. And ultimately, guys, volatility equals opportunity for the smart investor. So keep that in mind. Part 4, what I'm personally doing. I'm still investing. This last few weeks, I've been trying to put a little more money into the market. Usually if I put, let's just say, for example, $500 a month into the market, I'm trying to be a little more conservative of spending money this last month, whether it's like if I, instead of going out to eat or instead of buying a new gadget, I put that extra money in the market, because prices are lower right now than what they have been the last couple months. So this is the time, I'm buying at a discount. Realistically, I'm not panic selling. I have yet to sell anything. I have some single stocks from a previous company, and they have absolutely plummeted this last month or so. But at the end of the day, I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon or needing to withdraw that money to stay afloat in my life, in my current living situation. So I'm not panic selling. I'm just holding on to everything. Hopefully it will rebound and then some. Hopefully, fingers crossed, obviously. And ultimately, I'm thinking with the mindset long term. I'm not looking at short term. Like I said, I'm not looking at the price dips and panic selling. I'm looking at the long term. Like, hey, after a bear market, we usually the market will usually rally, especially after a situation like this. Hopefully when we leave Iran, oil prices will start to go down. The stock market will kind of bounce back a little bit. People will calm down, we'll stop selling, and hopefully get back into the market, start buying up, and then we make more money. So think of it as a long-term goal, a long-term mindset instead of looking in the short term. Even though short term you may think it's not weeks or months, but sometimes short term could be weeks or months or the year. Just think long term. Hey, the next 20, 30 years, I'm thinking, that's when I want to sell. That's when I want to worry about, turning these investments into, retirement money. So long-term mindset, guys. And then part 5, the big picture. Guys, events like this happen over and over again. Not many in my lifetime, I don't believe, or at least my life where I could have realistically or mentally kind of processed that. I think it was, the Great Recession in 2008 or the housing crisis in 2008. COVID. I guess COVID could have been the most recent time where I could have, strongly invested or bought into the market and, seen really great returns, because at that time I was 20 or 21 years old, give or take. So that could have been my time to, really invest in a tough situation for the world, or a tough situation that impacted the market, the economy. And then, right now, obviously I don't think this is comparable to COVID times, but it's the next best time. It's the next best opportunity for someone like myself or someone, like a smart investor who's watching this video by chance, or anyone out there realistically, where, they have a little extra money to put. They're not selling any of their stocks. They're able to put more money into the market and buy those stocks at a lower base fee, lower base cost, I should say. Events like this are going to happen over and over again, whether it's a war, whether it's a recession, a depression, inflation, or, costs start going down, hopefully soon, especially after all this. Hopefully, like I said, oil prices go down, gas prices go down a little bit. Spending $4.20 per gallon of gas hurts a little bit, I'm gonna be honest, but hopefully, truly what they're doing over there, kind of fixes the world. I mean, obviously not going too deep into it. So ultimately, guys, the people who build wealth aren't the ones who panic sell, during a bear market or during a rough time. They're the ones who stay consistent when things feel uncertain and think long term. They're thinking the next 20, 30, 40 years of their life compared to the next couple weeks, couple months, maybe a year or two. So with that, guys, I think I'm ending it here. As always, guys, this is The Lunch Table. I appreciate you watching. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, take care.